It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Friday, March 7th. And so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube. Do not follow us on SoundCloud and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Until the End with Daniel Baker, the Wednesday Message Word Study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? And yes, it is a wonderful and awesome Friday. Yes, we are here into the weekend, and I hope you guys have had an amazing and awesome week. And yeah, it's we're already after this weekend, we're just 1 week away from 316. We're so close. We're like 8-9 days away. So I hope that you guys are continuously preparing yourselves for that very day. Don't forget, every Thursday is Q&A Thursday, so get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can. And if you haven't yet, please leave a like and comment to build this community, this MSD family together. I'm just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. All right. So this week's Sunday message title is Do the Work You Should Do After Learning it First. And this is one of the big things that Sunny's talking about right now. And I think it's such a huge time right now. And we've heard this many times before. Like I was thinking about this where many times we've heard Sunseem like learn from me, learn and then take action, check. And, everything's about learning. And we get these big moments when Sunseem starts to just talk about learning again, right? And in the past, when I was less mature spiritually, I would kind of think to myself as like, man, we've heard this so many times, learn kind of thing, right? We keep learning, like we keep hearing this this title of learn from me. We've heard it many times in the retreats also. I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be the theme of the retreats this year too, right? But one thing I do, like now that I'm older and I'm at the end of my generation. You know what I mean? I'm at the end of my generation. There's going to come a time within the next, anywhere from, I would say, 2 to 5 years that I'll probably be out of the mission. You know what I mean? In the next 2 to 5 years, I can see myself completely being outside of the mission and, I'm going to have to get a job or work or do something else, but it's not going to be like a main position like I'm in now, like head leading, IMD, stuff like that too. But now that I've reached this kind of point where I'm nearing the end of my running days, like full-time running with all my heart, that type of thing, what I realized is these messages have to come up again. Like learn from me is something that we have to hear. And it's only because I've been in Providence for like 27 years that I've heard this theme like come out like really strong, maybe 4 or 5 times, right? But I realized even more now looking at my position, at myself, and I'm at the end of my time also. It's really interesting because I see the younger generation. I see the young leaders here in Korea. They're in their late 20s. They're in their early 30s. They're young. They're vibrant. They have so much passion and love for this history. I see myself when I was younger too. And it's like, yeah, they need it. They need to learn this too. It's not just me. And because I've been in Providence for 27 years, I'm only going to learn it once? No. This has got to come up multiple times because multiple generations need to hear this message. And it was something that I look at more and more like, man, this is something for the future. It really, really is. And I hope it's something that we can also think about too and realize that this is the time that we're living in. And it's a time right now where this new and younger generation has to stand up. It's going to be a little bit different in the future, but for now, for sure, I know it's something that we really, really have to think about deeply too, right? That this next generation needs to learn, right? Need to learn the same way I did when I was younger, the 3 or 4 times that time too, right? So it is a wonderful weekend, guys. Last weekend before 316, which means we have basically 1 week left before everything goes down on 316, right? 1 week left to prepare, 1 week left to get ourselves ready, 1 week to do our best to fit, to be fit to receive 316 at our best, to be worthy, to be those that are really going to receive this time properly. Part for me is my physical health, and I just had my colonoscopy yesterday, right? It went really well, much better than I thought. Like I did everything. Like they did like a full like whole body. They took my blood, took my urine sample. They took all the measurements, my eyes, my ears, they took everything, right? And they did the colonoscopy, everything else. They got everything checked. They checked my, what's that called? The lymph nodes, or like, what do you call it in your neck area? They checked everything. All the major things have been checked, and I am healthy. Like all the major things that they checked, and they showed me the pictures, everything else. Like, yep, this is all normal. This is all have been checked. It's good. You're healthy. And I'm just like, thank God my body is healthy. And the only thing that I feel that I think I've lost a little bit too much weight. I got to get myself back up to. I'm hoping to get myself back. Like I'm at like 73 kilograms, something along that line, which is not normal for me. I remember I'm at like 80 to 82 is like what I'm normally used to. But now I kind of like the 75 to 77 range for the age I'm at and for how active I am. So I am going, and I know that my weight went down a lot because before the colonoscopy, you have like 3 days of kind of fasting. And even on top of that, kind of the fast, you're also, you kind of clear your intestines. So you're losing a ton of water. And most of the weight that I've lost is water loss. So I am drinking a lot more water right now, making sure that I get myself back to the normal weight that I should be in, right? But I had that colonoscopy. Very thankful for everyone who's prayed for me. I'm just waiting for the results from my blood work and urine sample and the other things that they were checking too. But overall, big stuff is done. Super happy about it. They said I am healthy. No medicine, extra medicine, anything else I need to take. And I'm so thankful that I was able to do it in Korea because it's so cheap here compared to, remember, I have no health insurance here, and I basically paid less than $200 to get the full checkup on my body, like full checkup. So I'm just like, whoa, that's like pretty crazy, but very, very healthy. But yeah, 316 is coming up fast. And one of the signs is I get a call today saying, hey, we're here in Wongyongdong, which means people are already arriving. Getting calls, people who are now in Wongyongdong or who are coming tomorrow and the day after, right? So we are right there. We're at the pinnacle, and a lot of things that we need to do. But more people are coming this weekend. And especially for those that are flying from really far away, they're coming early because remember, it's an expensive trip and it's a far trip. So it kind of doesn't make sense for you to travel 12 hours on a flight to stay just for a weekend. So most of these people who come from far away are staying for like 1 to 2 weeks. And I think that's kind of more worth it too, right? So there's tons of schedules to be done, events before and after 316, and of course there will be some time for fun too. So I'm looking forward to that also. And for myself, I think the fun will be when everything is over. When I get to take a small vacation, rejuvenate, revive, and then get back to work, and then also wait for my parents to come at that time too. So they're coming in the middle of April, so looking forward to that also. But there's something else I'm super excited about. Super excited. Like not only are some friends of mine bringing over some coffee for me, like some fresh beans and stuff, but I am super excited because I bought a new coffee bean grinder. Not a hand grinder, but an electric one. So this is exciting for me. It really is, guys. I'm super excited. I want to try it out. A buddy from America is bringing it for me because it's like $80 cheaper in the US than buying it over here in Korea. So I am excited about this, and I want to try that machine out right away. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it should be arriving either next week on like Monday or Tuesday. So super excited. No more hand grinding, which, it's kind of just a luxury if you honestly think about it. But it's also nice to have an electronic grinder. It has like 40 different grind set. I think it's supposed to be like 41 grind settings. So it's really nice for me to play with these the settings and getting that, it's a lot of coffee. People who really love coffee, they're all looking for the perfect grind setting. You know what I mean? And that's going to be something that I will be looking forward to and very happy about this too. But yeah, I can't wait to start my quest for the perfect cup, right? So yes, excited. It's one of my first upgrades for my coffee equipment. Well, my first upgrades was, the first one is I had a friend of mine bringing over a V60 for me so that I could start making my pour overs, and I got a bigger V60, and I also bought a gooseneck kettle, and I bought a bunch of different things, but very, very grateful and thankful that I can do these things. But either way, yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited. It's been a while since I've been really, really excited, but I am excited. Guys, remember yesterday I was talking about mail ministry? I talked about mail ministry yesterday and trying to look at things in a different way. Remember what I brought up was maybe it's not that we are not evangelizing males, because there are males that study. It's more that we're more like Providence, or the way our churches are more attractive to women than they are to men. So I was looking at what types of activities or things that you can do in a church that can be more attractive to men. Like men will feel like they're benefiting or gaining something from it. So I got a couple of things that I saw, okay? So here's some easy stuff that you can think about. Number one is easy, men's Bible study and men's small groups. Okay, so of course that's to deepen faith, biblical knowledge, all these different things. But it's also one thing that guys really need is accountability and encouragement, right? It's a time for guys to talk with each other, to go more deep into their lives, discuss real life issues from a Providence perspective. And I think that's a really good thing is men's Bible studies and groups, right? Second thing that suggestions that came up were, how about fellowship, like men's fellowship events? And I was like, what would be a good fellowship event? And the ones that they said, retreats or conferences only for men, guest speakers for men on faith, leadership, and family. Or you can also have fellowship events, going out for breakfast, having a barbecue, or coffee meetups, like these different types of things. And those are things that guys can do together, right? A third thing they said is discipleship and mentorship programs. So one-on-one mentoring for younger men, or father-son or brotherhood programs, right? Or leadership training for church involvement for men. So that's what I found that's interesting too. Sports and outdoor activity. I think a lot of churches are doing this already, like sports teams or hunting, fishing, hiking trips, fitness, wellness groups. These are things that everyone can do. Also, community service and outreach. It's something that I never really thought about that much, but think about getting the men together and go working at a homeless shelter, volunteering your time, or disaster relief, missions trips, right? Church maintenance and construction projects, which I think is really cool too. And of course, you can have worship and music ministry, like a men's choir or a men's worship team, or audio, visual, or tech team, drama or skits for church service. There's a bunch of things that guys can do. And of course, you can go really, really deep into the word with apologetics and theology discussions, deeper theological debates, defending faith, figuring out what Sunseam really said in this, studying church history, doctrine, these different types of things. Another one that was kind of cool is marriage and family ministry, support groups for husbands and fathers, right? Marriage enrichment programs for men, parenting workshops for men, right? And when I looked at that, I was like, yeah, that's something that, we are having more and more husbands and fathers coming into this history, and they need that support group, that family ministry for husbands and fathers. And I think that's a great thing too. Two more. One was business and career networking. And I think that's very, very important as we're working to have connections with people who value faith and figuring out what they do too. Financial stewardship, financial planning, entrepreneurship, leadership development, networking with other Providence business groups and stuff like that too. Last but not least is prayer groups and spiritual warfare. So weekly or monthly prayer meetings, praying over the church, praying over the community, praying over families, intercessory prayer teams, and, a mix of any of these 10 things that I brought up. They said, you can have any, these are just ideas to get men more engaged, right? To help men feel connected, help men feel challenged and engaged in church life. So, this is something that we have to really think about. And I hope it's something that it'll be something that we will be really, really thinking about a lot more, right? Something that's going to be much more helpful for men. So those are kind of things I have been researching, and it's mainly because it is a year of evangelism, and we need to think about all these amazing ways for us to bring men together and for men to, have a place for them to, share, learn about things that are like real life issues also, right? So I think it's good for all of us to try to research, figure out more things. And, one thing this thing I keep seeing up on my Instagram, my YouTube, is the studies that say that guys definitely need two times a week of bro time, just hanging out with the guys, for them to be mentally strong, right? To not lose themselves in that area, right? So, something that we need to think about is, everyone has their mental health they'll need to deal with, but another one is guys need it too. And they might not speak up about it as much, but we need that time, that guy time. And I'm gonna tell you guys this. You guys will see there's a lot of skits out there on social media, but it's so true. Guys are just totally different when girls are not around. More energy, it's funnier, we laugh a lot more, and most likely we're more crude and a little bit not PC. Like we're not we're not thinking about, that we're offending people, right? It's just how guys are. And trust me, there is a gigantic difference between guys and girls in how we talk, and how we talk when the girls are not around and when they are around, light years apart. Guys just need that time to relax. We just do, right? And I'm not even sure if this study is true that guys need 2 times a week, but it feels true, to be honest. The guys need those 2 bro nights a week, right? Maintain their mental health, and I think it's something that we should be thinking about for the guys in our lives, right? And I would say personally, I would definitely agree, personally speaking, right? Before we get into the first music break, there is something I've been thinking about because, we are preparing ourselves for 316, and repentance and cleaning ourselves is one of the big things. But as I was repenting, you kind of think about, man, I'm already 26, 27 years in Providence and I'm still sinning, I'm like, gosh, God, like how disappointing is this? After 27 years, I'm still sinning kind of thing. And one of the inspirations that came into my heart, it was the inspiration I got was, every person will sin, but there is no sin too big for God to forgive. Right? Every person's going to sin, but there is no sin too big for God to forgive. Right? And when I kind of received that inspiration in my heart, I was like, man, that's so true. We should never think that we can't get forgiven. But we should also not think that God will just forgive us for nothing. It requires effort. It requires that sincerity. It requires that repentance, right? And, there needs to be that true repentance and a heart that is willing to stop. And even, Sansim even said the action is even more important. Meaning, even if you don't even ask God for repentance, but you just stop it, even that in itself is stronger than the words, because a lot of times people give words, but they don't stop, right? So it's something that I was thinking a lot about. And I pray that, even during this time where we're getting closer and closer to these important times like 316, and we're asked to clean and make ourselves even more, I really hope, I really pray that no one loses hope in themselves. Like, don't let Satan make you think you're too terrible and too unworthy to be in this history. Because in the end, if you really think about it, in the end, none of us actually deserve it. We're actually all unworthy, and no one deserves the rapture. No one deserves salvation, not a single person, right? It's because of the conditions set by the man of mission that we're able to be raptured, nothing else. Because without his condition, it doesn't matter how hard you work, doesn't matter how good you are, you cannot rapture. And that's kind of one of the basic tests you can make. If you look, if we're going to test the rapture and how important our actions are, technically, like the conditions we set, think about it. If you take our actions away, will that take away the rapture? And the answer is no. Because it is not based on our condition. It's based on the condition set by the man of mission. Because if you take the man of mission's condition away, it doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how much you pray. It doesn't matter how much you evangelize. It makes no difference. It's way more like the onus is on his side. And because he set the condition, this is why we're able to be where we are right now. Right? Excuse me. If we don't set the condition, but Sunseam does, rapture still happens. That's how big it is. But if we set a condition and Sunseam doesn't, rapture doesn't happen. That's how big that condition is. No matter how good we are, no matter how big the conditions we set, we can never rapture without the man of mission. It is impossible. And, the reason why we're here and the reason why we celebrate even more and the reason we should be even more thankful about 316 is to remember that condition that was set and why we're able to be here at that time. To remember, guys, we have to remember that it was 2015. That means Sunseam was still in prison and he still had 3 years left, but he was able to set the condition inside there, right? That's how amazing and crazy it really is, right? So it's something that we do have to recognize and realize, and it's something that we do have to understand that these conditions are everything. They really, really are. Okay, so I hope that we will be ready even more, and I hope that we'll all have an amazing and awesome 316. Let's prepare, guys. We have one more week. Let's make sure we pray as much. And even if you haven't prayed until this point, just pray now. Just pray right now at this time, right? Just wake up to pray next morning or the morning after so that we'll be ready to receive the rapture even better. Because even if you only pray for this last 7 days, it is better than praying for 0 days. You're still going to be 7 days more prepared than you would have been without it. Right? So that is something I hope that we can all really, really think about more clearly and deeply. And I hope it's something that we can open our eyes and our hearts to even more. Okay? So there it is, guys. That is the segment 1 for today. I hope it's something that gave you some new thoughts to think about, especially for 316. Before we get into the Wednesday Mr. Word Study, let's move into the first music break of the day.
Let me tell you something. Whatever them people say, they can tell me nothing. If I was gonna tell one thing that I know for sure, that I know. You're my lover, my teacher, Messiah. That ain't gonna make you retire. You fulfill God's realest desires. You got me, ooh, you're the one and only one who can take my spirit higher. Choose the button so I see them make me lighter. When I meet you in the prayer, make my words go poof, yeah, watch them disappear. No more fear, yeah, left it in the rear. Thanks to you, I got the Golden City visa. Got me singing like, ooh, ooh. You're my lover, my teacher, Messiah. They can't make you retire. You just keep spitting that fire. Ooh, nah, yeah. Ooh, nah, na na. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, na na. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, na na. Yeah, yeah. Have you ever seen a man with a love so great? He gives everything, even to the ones who hate. 77 times over, yet he does it again. Just to save their soul, just to change their fate. All these knives in his back, yet he never hesitates. Waging a war of love and peace, he's quick to demonstrate. When they escalate the venom, he just elevates. Rises above it, he just does it. No two ways about it. Do it till the end, that's his motto. Divine logos, yes, you've heard it before. Don't forget it, say it loud on the megaphone. I wanna hear it ring in my head like a telephone. Still working miracles in the worst situations. Fresh manna from heaven on a daily occasion. That's the one that I serve, the author of salvation. Resolve the fundamental problem for individuals, families, and nations. Ooh, na, na. Yeah, yeah. 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 Let me tell you something. Whatever them people say, they can tell me nothing. If I was gonna tell them one thing, that I know for sure, that I know, that I know, that I know. You're my lover, my teacher, Messiah. They can never make you retire. You fulfill God's will, His deepest desires.
All right, so let's get into today's Wednesday message word study. And of course, we do this every single Friday because I'm in Korea. I usually do the recording before the Wednesday message. So I hope that everyone will get some new insights or some new thoughts about the Wednesday message too. Two titles: Those Who Know Will Succeed and Those Who Know Will Carry Out Missions from God. And great message. And this message was actually given to the head leaders too, right? Before. So it's something that I've heard before. Some parts of it, it's not the actual full message, but it was quite a little bit of a longer message than what we're used to too, right? So let's get into this, okay? So it's about learning, and I talked a little bit about this in the first segment. And the first point that I wanted to make, it talks about you have to. If you use yourself after learning and making yourself competent, you will use yourself 1,000, 10,000 times more precious and valuable than a chunk of gold, right? And then when it comes spiritually, it says that, God, the Holy Trinity, Jesus and Son's name, right? We have to be people that make ourselves first and live interacting with them. And this is when we live the ideal life. So it's only when our body and spirit, it's only then when we're learning and interacting and doing things together with the Holy Trinity, this is when we start to gain things like 1,000-fold, right? And I hope it's something that we can really think about even more each and every week, because we've been told so many times to make and develop ourselves. But if you even look in the world, just physically, like look at people who are athletes, you just can't compare how much they have learned to be a professional athlete. It's it's like millions of miles apart, the difference between those that learned and didn't and those that do not learn and just kind of do it like for fun as an amateur, right? So this is why the message is telling us like, hey, if you learn first and then you do it, right? If you take action after you learn, like obviously number one, things are going to go well. Number two is you're going to do things quicker, which I think is a huge benefit. And three, you will live as if you're living longer, right? And you've heard that before where it seems like, don't try to live to 100. Like in the message too, it's like, don't try to live to like 120. Even if you live a long time, by the time you get really, really old, you're not active. Your brain breaks down. You're not going to remember. You're not going to be that good. The best method is what? Learn and know while you're young. And then when you do this, just like Sunstein, you're going to be living, you'll accomplish things that people could not do in a single lifetime, but you'll be accomplishing what two people can do in their lifetime because you've learned first and you've used yourself during the most young and active times. Right? And, a lot of times people do complain and say things like, oh, it's so hard to follow God. Oh, providence is difficult. Oh, this is difficult. But when you really think about it, when you really, really think about it, it's easy if you learn and then do it. And that's what the message was essentially telling us. Believing in God, loving God, it's easy if you learn it, if you do it after you learn. This is when you stop suffering. This is when it's actually fun and you live fulfilling the ideal world, right? So, it's the difference. That's the difference between learning and not learning. And I think this is a very, very important, very, very important point. And of course, the Sunsteam always talks about the body and spirit. So I really liked it when Sunsteam's talking about the physical body. And when he talks about the physical body, we're like, for me, I'm just like, oops, the day after the Wednesday service, I went to go get my colonoscopy to get myself fully checked and stuff. So that was something that was kind of cool for me. Like, hey, I'm putting the words into action, even though, obviously I didn't know that word was coming out, but I felt like I was putting the words into action. The terrible thing was after I got my colonoscopy, I just ate trash. I was so hungry. I just ate so much bad food. I really did. I feel like gluttonous after that. So, the message not only talks about living physically healthy, but also spiritually healthy, right? Spiritually, you will live a healthy life only if you don't sin. That's what a healthy spiritual life is. A healthy spiritual life is when you don't sin. And of course, the Bible says this all the time, right? If you want to live a healthy spiritual life, you need to stop sinning. And the Bible's chock full of it. Is like when you sin, you die. When there's many times in the Bible is like sin. The wages of sin is death. Is like Romans 6:23. And then then of course the parts in the Bible, because this is the message that was given to head leaders too. The message does talk about head leaders, and there's certain skills that they need to have. Like obviously, they need to preach well. They need sermon delivery, right? And what Sunsteam said is, he's like, Sunsteam was super honest. He's like, I didn't know how to speak well. I don't know, right? And he said that he spent years in the mountains actually preaching. It wasn't just years, he said dozens of years. And he gradually became better, which also means that he wasn't a good speaker in the beginning. Right? As much as we were like, oh my gosh, how can you say, no, that's just reality. He wasn't a great speaker in the beginning. And I think the same is for all of us here too. We're not going to be very good in the beginning, and it's going to take 1,000 attempts. And it's, we have to learn about, we have to learn. And not just learn the word. I like one part of the message it talked about, learn about how things are in your time period, right? Learn about why there's so much suffering. Why is there tribulation? And the Holy Spirit's going to teach us, and He's going to speak to us through the person that has been sent. And that's a big thing for us. Is not just about us doing what, right? It's not just about us. Oh, I learned the word, so I'm just going to say it. No, you need the skills, but we also need to know the generation we're talking to and the people, like the type of people, like what are they like? We have to learn all these things, right? And that's why a head leader's got such a big role, right? Yeah. So it's very, very interesting. Then I think it's something that we have to think about very, very carefully too. So yeah, if a head leader is weak, it's like in lecturing abilities, they have to do it after. They got to learn it. Got to know how to give lectures. It's like, I think one of the biggest things about a head leader is actually preaching, like speaking. You got to speak really well. It's because you're always going to be in front of people, and that's a skill that we all have to learn, right? One of the things I thought was like, so the masterful thing since he talked about is like how he studied the Bible, how he learned the Bible from Jesus. And the part that was really, that hit me was like, he said that when I took action after interpreting the Bible, it was easy. That's a big difference, because when you don't know the Bible very well and you take action on the Bible and you're taking action literally asking for the sun to stop and asking for these things to happen, you're going to sit there and going to be like, wait a second, why is it? It's too hard. But when you fully understand it and then take action, it becomes easy because you know exactly what God is talking about. And, it's look at the way people are waiting for Jesus from the former faith. They wait for Jesus in a certain way. But even when Jesus came back in spirit, but they don't believe it, can you imagine how frustrated Jesus is about his own people that can't recognize or that don't recognize him at all? Like, that has got to be frustrating, right? So we have to be those that realize and understand, be able to teach well, be able to preach. There's one part that I liked that, of course I liked many parts, right? But it's the part where Sansim says, this time period, it's the 1,000-year history right now. We've received Jesus' Spirit, right? And he says, what's the evidence? He's like, the evidence is history itself. So what's the evidence? And he gave 6 different evidences. First one, he says, it's been a long time since the 2,000 years has passed, right? So we're looking at time. Second one is God, the Holy Spirit, the Holy Son, and Jesus gave us the word of the new history, and God has taken action so that history would spread, and this word would spread to all the world. So it's another evidence of the testimony of what's happening with providence. Number 3, for nearly 50 years, God and Jesus have performed countless signs of the time period. Many of those signs, like the tide stopping, the miracle of the weather, miracle of people being healed, these types of things, right? Or the greatest is obviously the miracle of the word. Number 4, when you go and see in the spiritual world, you will know it all. And that's a tough one, but that's what we need to be able to have that type of skill. Number 5, Jesus has returned in spirit, and all of this has been taught to everyone through the word of the time period, right? So they will know by the words. And number 6, that, they are the human clouds that believe and follow. Like, people need to see that there's a cloud of witnesses out there. Like, they need to see it during 316 and stuff. And, some seems like at least now you know how to give lectures about evidence like this at this time. Leaders who can do this are called the A-level leaders, right? And, Sansi talked a lot about how to preach, how to go into the words. And something you can tell there's a frustration. He's like, Proverbs people too, if they don't know, even though what they have prayed for has already passed, they still wait, and it's frustrating. And then the parts that kept hitting me was when he talks about like real life, what's happening right now in the world. Remember when something seems like this? Hey, Jews and Muslims, they only see Jesus as a prophet and not as a Messiah. So what happens? Those who don't know fight with each other. They fought for 2,000 years after Abraham. They fought amongst themselves. They have been fighting for 4,000 years. Even now, the Muslims and Jews are fighting in Gaza. Why? They don't know who the Messiah is. And Sansim was just straight up. He's like, if you don't know the Messiah, you'll fight regardless of the time period. People who know don't fight amongst themselves. This is because they received the King of Peace. Now, this is something that I think that we have to understand in a more miniaturized level too. What's the miniaturized level? Think about it. If you truly, truly know the Messiah, you're not going to have fighting within. If you truly know. Why? Because you're receiving who? You're receiving the King of Peace. Right? Even when the year Sansim was born, the World War II stopped. The UN was formed. Like, all these things about peace happened when on the year that he was born. So, as leaders, and all of us, I talk to all of us not as a leader with a title, but as leaders, we should really, really learn earnestly, fasting, praying, and then teaching people. I'm like, wow. Fasting and praying and then teach people. And if people fail to know correctly because you fail to teach them correctly, they will ultimately disbelieve prophets and go to death. That's how big it is, right? So you think to yourself like, what? I got to pray and fast? But then sometimes like, think about it. If you fail to teach them correctly, they'll ultimately disbelieve and go to death. That's how big it is. That's how much we need to pray. Right? So a lot of great things that come up from that Wednesday message. Like, Sansim talked about like people being, there's a lot of messages about evangelism too. And it says, like, even if people are evangelized and they move to the new history, if the leaders are not knowledgeable, they cannot revive those people's faith. Because they didn't know, many lives died and left. And because they didn't know, even the leaders themselves died in faith and left. That's how big it is to learn. Leaders are not knowledgeable. And because they're not, they don't know history, they don't know all these, they cannot revive people's faith. And leaders have no idea, but because of them, many died and left. Because of them, even some of the leaders themselves died in faith and left too. So I hope that we realize, when God is telling us, like, who is God using? God is using the ones that know. Right? God is using the ones that know. God is a God of knowledge, right? So at the very, very end, there were 6 proverbs before the message finished. The first one was, I like the first one. It says, knowing is a blessing. However, because we live according to God's will and go on silently, even though we know, people say, why are they going through tribulations? And that one hit hard because that's like, and yet you don't testify, you don't say anything. So people have no idea why you're going through tribulation, and they can think whatever they want. They can think that we're being judged. They need to know, but there's no one saying anything. And the last one, number 6, I like, it says, don't feel for a moment with your body and judge according to your low-level physical intelligence of the moment. If you judge with your spirit, it is more perfect compared to what you judged with your body for an instant. Physical thoughts are low level, even if they're in the same direction as the thoughts of God and the Holy Spirit, right? So I hope that we can become spiritual people, and we'll always be judging in a spiritual way, not in the momentary physical way. Okay, so there it is, guys. That is the Wednesday Message Word Study. Hope it's something that a lot of nuggets of information that you guys gained a lot from. If you have any questions or anything else, please let me know. Put in the comments below. Love to hear from you guys. Which also means, thank you so much for joining us for this Wednesday Message Word Study. We have one more segment left, which is Until the End with Daniel Baker. And before we get into it, let's move into the last music break of the day.
living in fantasies but not God. And that's the problem, that's why they say that it's too hard. No matter how blazing your love may be, our meetings and conversations are the same, you see. You can't let this love go to waste, doing the same things day to day, we're at the same place. Let's speak with hope about new things and the things you have done. I want to get closer to you, I want to give you my love. If you do not enjoy this love, it will disappear. When your thoughts are hard changes, he will take away your blessing. Gotta find your form, find your mission, and just find your blessings. Let's just get back to the old days and find out the temptations. I wanna get to know you, I want to show you that I can give you the word in many places, many spaces. I have seen a lot of people come and go. You're gonna make it, do your absolute best to reach the final destination. Yeah, it's 1978. This feeling is so great. The word you preach amazes me. Why do I feel this fate? Ooh, it's 1978. This feeling is so great. The word you preach amazes me. Why do I feel this fate? Oh, can I get to know you? I just wanna know you. Can I get to know you? I just wanna know you. Can I get to know you? I just wanna know you. Can I get to know you? I just wanna know you.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Do It Until the End podcast. I hope everyone is having an amazing week with the Trinity. Let's have an amazing podcast together. Now, I am coming to you from Brunei, this small country off the coast that's really close to East Malaysia. Yeah, I'm just randomly in a country and it's not Korea. And it's pretty, it's kind of interesting because it's been a very spontaneous trip. Even until a week ago, I didn't know if I was going to make this trip with my mom and my sister, Gloria. And yeah, it's been very interesting because our main focus of this trip was to scout out the lands, to really feel about what kind of country East Malaysia is, to Brunei. Also, our next plan for the trip is to go to a place in Malaysia called Kuching. And Kuching is very interesting because we have some people we're trying to evangelize that are attending school there, and it's going to be very fun. Try to teach them some lessons, and it's interesting because we've always just taught them lessons in Korea, but we're actually going to bring the word to them, to where they're living currently right now. So it's going to be very interesting. So the main focus of the trip is to scout out the land, to see what kind of people there are in the world, and really see the different countries, and see if God really has a plan for our family to go evangelize in these places in the future. It's very interesting because our family was very stationary for like 10 years in Korea, but now our family's starting to move on. Everyone's, going out of their nest and starting to go into different countries. Joshua's in the United States. My brother's in the United States for university. I'm going to Japan in like 2-3 weeks for university. My mom, my dad, and Gloria, they're going to be moving around more to evangelize and really do God's history, God's work. And it's going to be very interesting because they've been thinking of places like Malaysia, places like Thailand, other places that are in the Americas. And there are so many options where our family can be sent by God to really help with evangelism in these places. And it's very interesting because we really don't know what kind of place these places are. And it's kind of like, as I said, a very spontaneous trip, which means that not everything is like super according to a plan or anything, but more according to like God's inspiration. And it's very, to be honest, it's very not my style, but I really am enjoying it each step of the way because it really feels like God is really making our plan, and we're meeting really amazing people, having good conversations, really getting to know the different parts of the land. KK, which is Kota Kinabalu, East Malaysia. I have to be very honest with you. I enjoyed it a little bit more than KL. Okay? And I don't want to. I had the most amazing time in KL. I think it was last year or the start of last year, and it was so amazing. Had a great time, but I really felt like the more that I live my life, I'm much more of a countryside person. I really like being outside in nature, and Kota Kinabalu is, of course, there's a city. But there's a lot of mountains. There's a lot of places. There's a lot of beaches you can go to really see amazing nature. And that's what I really enjoyed about Kota Kinabalu was the different types of nature that I was and God's creations I was able to see within the couple of days I was there. And it was really amazing to see that Providence is doing really well. If I remember correctly, last year they got third place in overseas or international evangelism. And it was kind of really cool to hear that even though it's really small, it's a pretty small church, there's a lot of fiery people that are working really hard to make God's history within East Malaysia. Now let me give you two observations about Kota Kinabalu. East Malaysia that I actually really saw, and it was very, very nice. Okay, number one, majority of the people are very kind. It's either they're very, very kind, which is like 70%, and 30% just are like just okay people, right? So very kind, 70%, okay, they just like shrug you off, you're nothing to them. But, it really felt that 70% of the people are just very, very kind, very, very outgoing. And I don't know if because it's the very hot weather and it's just Malaysia and these countries overall, but their people are very chill. They have a very, very cool side to them. And the most interesting part about Kota Kinabalu is that there's a lot of Muslims in this area. And but there's also a decent amount of Christians and other religions like Buddhism. And when I heard that was very interesting because across all the different religions, everyone was like that. Everyone was very kind. Everyone was very respectful to others, to even people like me who are travelers, and it made a really good environment. Now, the second thing I really wanted to say, the observation is that God's nature was really shown well in this area. And what I mean by this is, number one, there is a lot of very nice hills, very nice mountains you can drive up. And we went to a hotel/cafe on the top of the mountain, which usually if the weather's amazing, you can see off the island the beautiful sunset. Unfortunately, that day we went up there, we weren't able to see, and we were crying, and we were like, oh no, we couldn't see the sunset. But the next day, we went to a beach called Tanjung Aru Beach in Kota Kinabalu, and it was so amazing because we were able to see sundown. And when I say I saw the most beautiful colors in my life, that would be a very understatement. And it was just like watching a movie, but it was right in front of me. It was happening right in front of me. And of course I made some wishes to God. I gave thanks to God. But yeah, it was such an amazing thing where I would really like to recommend at least that everyone listening to the podcast can at least go to Kota Kinabalu, Malaysia, once in their lives and really experience the sunset. And I really want to thank the Malaysian church and Pastor Stenny for really helping our family with the guide and the church tour, which was absolutely amazing. Now I am in Brunei. It's a country, it was only a 40-minute flight to Brunei. Now this country is interesting because as I know it, it's like 90 or 80% Muslim. And this is very interesting because, okay, so I came out of the hotel, or I came out of the airport. First thing I see is a mosque, right? And then we get on our taxi, and then we come to the hotel. I at least see 5 mosques. This is very interesting, right? And then we come into the hotel room, and I'm like, okay, I gotta do this podcast. And then I see that there's a rug. This rug, it's pretty interesting. This rug has a picture of Mecca on it, you know, that black box, and which is used for Muslims to pray on. And I saw this and I was, wow. And then I looked up into the room, and I saw that there's this arrow on top of the room, like on the ceiling, saying to pray this way towards Mecca. Now this was very interesting when I thought about it, because it was very random, just as a traveler, but it really shows the dedications that the Muslims have for the religion, at least in Brunei, and how integrated the religion is within the culture, right? And within even like the small details, like the hotels. And it was just very interesting. Like, I think in the future, we should have like an app where we can see like as a compass to show where Warmindong is, like where maybe the Ambition Masterpiece is. And we can all pray towards there, even when we're like in America or Canada or other countries. It's just an idea, right? And just pray, as a Providence person, pray like 5 times a day, which will be very interesting, right? I know that some Provi people don't have that habit yet, of course, so it might be very interesting to encourage that. Of course, I'm just thinking about, you know, how dedicated these people are to their religion. It's very admirable. You know, we can disagree on majority of the things, like 99% of the things, but we can also admire and really take away the good things about these religions that we really have around us, but we also study. And this has been a very interesting time for me to really study about these countries and these religions. Very fun. Most fun I've had in a while. We are only staying in Brunei for 1 day. It's going to be very interesting to get like a very nice schedule together so we can make sure we get to do some sightseeing tomorrow. So yeah, I gotta get to bed. I gotta hit the hay and get some well-deserved sleep before doing a lot of tourism tomorrow. So to everyone who is going until the end, let's walk this path together. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know. I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know.